Folks will be on shortly, making sure we're connecting with everyone. Our Facebook connection's good. YouTube connection's good. And let me check on X. And X is good. So we are all set to go. I need to save the configurations. All right, folks, Gene Gallen here with the Chatham Journal. I've got Ashibo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record, and we're back here for our weekly ChathamNC Sports Roundup. Spring sports, of course, are coming to an end, but playoffs are here or they are coming, and there have been some softball and baseball playoff games that have been played, have more coming up tomorrow. Ashibo and I have been to a couple of those, and he'll give you a rundown of that. Also, lacrosse, soccer, softball, baseball, volleyball, boys volleyball, track and field as well. And of course, today is when the Chatham News and Record newspaper comes out to your newsstand, or if you subscribe, it comes to your home. Ashibo will give you a rundown of what he's got coming up in there, and then we'll have, of course, everyone's favorite, Ashibo's Athlete of the Week. We'll let you know who that is, and then we'll let you know where we're going to be over the next several days. So let me get out of the overhead and go into Ashibo. And Ashibo, let's talk about playoffs. Why don't we start with baseball and softball, because those playoffs have already started. So why don't you give folks a rundown?
Yeah, we had the first round kickoff on Tuesday for baseball and softball for, of course, our county teams in the 1A and 2A tournament. So starting with baseball, we start with 1A, Chatham Charter, 7th seed. They got a big 8-0 win over number 26, Ocracoke. And in that one, Zach Cartret on the mound, 43 strikes out of 60 pitches, 6 strikeouts, and of course a shutout for him. And then Luke Johnson at the plate, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. So great overall win for Chatham Charter in their first round game. And then Chatham Central, they traveled to number 2, Burgrass Charter, and fell 9-1 in that one. So Chatham Central's season came to an end on Tuesday night. And then on the 2A side, we had number 9 Seaforth. We were there catching the end of that after the softball game, and we'll talk about the softball game later. But Seaforth beat number 24 Princeton 7-0. And in that one, they had 2 stars in that night. Daniel White at the plate. He went 3 for 4 with an RBI, had a triple, a single and a double. Nearly completed the cycle, but couldn't quite get the home run he needed. And then Broward Bowling as well had a great game at the plate. And then in that one, Bryce Honeycutt, I'm sorry. He had his first playoff start on the mound, pitching in the playoffs. So he had a great game as well for 4 innings, I think, and of course held him to 0 for his time. And then number 6 South Lenore beat number 27 Northwood in a dramatic finish in the first round with the game being tied 5-5, I think with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. And they got a single from Matthew Rhodes that brought in the winning RBI, and that one knocked Northwood out and ended their season. So, yeah, we had 2 teams go out in the first round on the baseball side, with Chatham Central and Northwood. Great seasons for both of them, especially Northwood, who came in, had a winning season under a new coach, had some good things with Finn Sullivan on the mound, Camden Miller as well. It's just a great team. Simon Delgado, a lot of great guys that had some great seasons for them. So hats off to those 2 programs for what they did this year. Gene, do you have anything on the baseball playoffs?
Actually, no. I mean, I was glad to see how things were going. Sorry that Northwood got kicked out. Actually, the reason I took a second to come on is because I was putting in your Athlete of the Week caption. So we want to give them credit once we get to that part. So yeah, it's been a good season for the baseball teams, but unfortunately, it didn't end so well in the playoffs. But hey, at least you got into the playoffs. All right, what do you want to touch on next?
Yeah, so before we get into softball, just get a rundown of the second round games for baseball tomorrow night. So Chatham Charter is going to be hosting number 23 Gates County tomorrow night. Gates County 8-14 overall, 4th in their conference. They won by upset, and then Seaforth, they got a break, getting to host number 25 Fairmont, who also won by upset in their game. They're 13-12 overall, and they also finished fourth in their conference. So both of the county baseball teams should feel pretty good hosting two teams that came in off upsets. Like we say, getting to play at home, and should be pretty confident going into those games, especially Seaforth at the season they're having. And I think I'm going to go check out Chatham Charter tomorrow night because I haven't gotten around to them this year. They're really deserving some coverage this year because they've also had a really great season in the Central Tar Heel 1A conference. And we'll see how the second round goes. But, Gene, you had something?
I was going to say, yeah, folks, look for Ashibo at the Chatham Charter game tomorrow. And I remember we were at the Seaforth baseball game, and the team and the players didn't know at that time if they were playing at home or away on Friday. And since Fairmont mounted that upset, I guess they're going to host again on Friday. So that's going to be two games in a row that they get to do it at home, and hopefully they'll do well on Friday.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of action here on Friday because in softball, we can start on a 1A side of things. Chatham Central, the 7th seed, they got the big win over number 26 East Wake 10-0. And in that one, Maddie Kasmerchik on the mound. The star is always like she's been her past two seasons. 14 strikeouts in that one, only allowed 2 hits, and of course 0 earned runs. As she gets the shutout, and then at the plate, Addison Golston had a big night, 4 for 4 with 2 RBIs for her. So a big win for Chatham Central there. And then Chatham Charter, they won up against number 14 Northmore, had to go there and fell in that one 13-3. So Chatham Charter came in as a 19 seed. Their season ended Tuesday night as well. And then on the 2A side of things, we had number 23, Jordan Matthews. They fell to High Trask 10-4, the 10 seed. And that one, High Trask, they scored 5 runs in the 6th inning to kind of pull away in that one. And then we had number 9, Seaforth, getting the walk-off win over number 24, Whiteville. Me and Gene were there, watched that whole game all the way through because we had a pitching battle between Emma Grace Hill and on the Seaforth side and Margaret Cartret on the Whiteville side. Both teams struggled to get hits. It was 1-1 for the longest for I think about 5 innings in that one until bottom of the 7th. Seaforth, they get some runners on base. Emma Grace Hill, who had a great night on the mound, 12 strikeouts for her. She gets on the plate, hits a double to bring home Kayla Long, who was on third, and they get the walk-off score and win that one by 1 run. So that's Seaforth's first ever playoff win as a program. The girls were really excited about that, and they'll have to travel to North Johnston, the 8th seed in the 2A East bracket for the second round. And then for the 1A side, Chatham Central will be hosting number 10 Clever Garden tomorrow night. Clever Garden, the Central Tar Heel 1A conference champs, 7-2 in the conference, 10-6 overall. So should have some really good softball games going on between Seaforth and Chatham Central. Of course, Chatham Central will be in the county as well as Chatham Charter baseball and Seaforth baseball.
Yeah, and you got to talk to the coach and a couple of the players at the Seaforth game that they won. And as you mentioned, and you brought that up to them, it's the first time that they won a playoff game, and they seem to be really excited about that. So, what was your overall feel? And folks, you can go to X Ashibo R38 and see those video clips, as well as if you can't make it out to the Chatham Central game tomorrow, Ashibo. He keeps track of that. That's the thing I got away from your interview with the players and the coach afterwards. This year they seem to be having more fun. Is that what you got from that post?
Yeah, they've the past 2 years, starting the program, they took some bumps. Trying to build it up, and then this year they finally put everything together. Got a really talented group of girls that are still young, right? They're going to bring pretty much this whole team back next year, and so they have a breakout year this year. Lots of home runs, great pitching on the mound from Emma Grace Hill all season, and of course they finished second in the regular season standings and actually win the conference tournament title. So they've been on the run. Leading into this playoffs, build some momentum, and in this first round game, they really showed and improved back-to-back times, actually, because they got a walk-off win in the conference tournament championship, that they can come in and close games, stay calm, stay poised, and win in these high-stakes situations. So that's a good sign for Coach Brian Ledford and his team, because, like we said, still a young team. They're going to bring a lot of those girls back. So, yeah, C4 softball, exciting time for them, not just this year, but also for years to come.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, I know they were a little aggravated because they left a lot of runners on base during that game, but they did come through in that seventh inning and managed to close that out. So, C4 Chatham Central, we're hoping you do well this Friday. All right, what's next to talk about, Ashibo?
Yeah, so we went through baseball and softball playoffs. We also have girls soccer wrapping up this week, and their playoffs are going to get started on Monday in the first round, and their brackets are going to get seeded tomorrow. And we have a Chatham County girls soccer playoff preview out in the paper today, and that just is based off some of the RPI standings as of last Sunday when we wrote this. But just to run through the final scores from the end of the regular season this week, I think every team should be finished. Well, we might have some teams with one more game left, but C4, they finished their season already after winning last night over Bartley Yancey 14-0. And in that one, Creighton Ehrman had 6 goals. But good news for them this week, though, is that Sophia Viana is back. She came back to action this week. And against Jordan Matthews earlier in the week when they won 9-0, she had 4 goals in that one. So C4, third straight conference title for them, third straight undefeated regular season, conference season, now 37-0 in the last 3 years in the conference in the regular season. So congrats to them on another big conference achievement and another, number one, top finish in the conference going into the playoffs for them. And then Jordan Matthews, they fell to Graham 2-2. And talking about Jordan Matthews, we'll get into some of the RPI in a second. But, these last couple of games have been huge for them as they try to make that final push and get over the hump into the playoffs. They're just right outside the bubble there. And Northwood, they tied with Southern Alamance this week, 0-0. So they'll be at Northmore tonight to finish their regular season. And then Woods Charter on 1A side, big win over Clever Garden, 9-0 this week. And they also beat Southern Wake Academy 7-1. So this week they clinched their 4th straight conference title, 4 straight undefeated conference seasons for them as well, 40-0 over the last 4 years. So great achievement for Woods Charter. And even when we talked to Coach Graham Stewart after their Franklin Academy game a couple weeks ago, he was like, this is a young team. They still went through some bumps this year, but as they're trying to find their way, they've still dominated in the conference and still feel pretty good going into the state playoffs too. So we'll see how they can respond from past 3 years going to the state championship and getting there and making deep runs in the playoffs. But also on the 1A side, Cornerstone Charter beat Chatham Charter 9-0, and Chatham Charter also lost to Ascend Leadership 3-2 here at the end of the season. So those are some of our final girls soccer scores. Like I said, I think Northwood has one more game tonight at Northmore. And so looking at RPI standings for girls soccer on the 1A side, Woods Charter, they're in that 4th spot as of today. But, looking at how where the teams in front of them in their conference standings, Woods Charter could jump up to maybe get that 2nd seed, which would be huge for them. Of course, with the 2nd seed, you pretty much get the host the whole way until right about the regional round if you run into the 1 seed. And then Chatham Charter down at the 26th spot in the RPI rankings will probably land there in the playoffs in the low 20s as a seed. And then for 2A, C4th, 5th in the RPI standings. And of course, looking at the teams ahead of them in their conference standings, C4 could maybe jump up to 4th or, depending on how the regular season ends, of course, because we have other teams around the state that have to finish out their regular seasons. And then Northwood, 16th spot. So that'll be good for them. Middle of the pack. They'll get maybe host the first round and see if they can make another decent run in the playoffs this year. And then Jordan Matthews, like we said, it's in that 33rd spot. So, of course, I don't think they have any more games left, but, depending on what other teams near them in the RPI standings do to end their season, could kind of determine if they're going to make that jump into the field and maybe get, one of the lower seeds in the 2A bracket. Gene, you still with us? Okay. Not sure if Gene's still with us. So we're going to move into some of the other
I'm sorry. My connection getting into the stream is a little slow. So if for some reason I don't come on, just keep going. And when are the announcements for the playoffs seating supposed to come out?
for girls soccer tomorrow.
Okay, great. All right, go for it.
Yeah, so other playoffs is going on as well. We got boys tennis in a dual team brackets. We had Chatham Charter. They fell to Triangle Math and Science in the third round, 5-2 on the 1A bracket. And on the 2A side, we had Seaford going up against NCSSM Durham, which, talking to Seaford's athletic director, Jared Worley, they're really excited for this matchup, but they fell in that one 6-3 in the fourth round. So Seaforth and Chatham Charters dual team seasons came to an end this week, but individuals still got some county individuals that can compete for some state championships as well in the singles brackets. We got two, and our apologies for the mistake in the paper. We had incorrectly reported three, but it's just two, and we have Thomas Bjork from Chatham Charter on the 1A side. He's going to be competing in the singles, and Joaquin Hernandez Gonzalez from Seaforth on the 2A side, also in the singles bracket. So they'll be competing tomorrow and Saturday to see if they can get a state championship as individual players. And then we also have golf championships happening Monday and Tuesday. We'll have golfers from Chatham Central, Chatham Charter, Northwood, Seaforth, and Jordan Matthews competing in that one. On the 2A side, Seaforth is looking to go back-to-back as being state champions. They got the title last year, and they're bringing a lot of those same golfers back, including Ty Willoughby, who was the individual state champion last year as well. So we'll see if Seaforth can get it done. And then also, too, track and field, the 1A Mid-East Regionals coming up this week, tomorrow at Pender. No, not tomorrow. Saturday at Pender will be 1A. And then tomorrow at High Trask will be the 2A Mid-East Regionals to determine which one of our county athletes will make it to the state championships in a couple weeks. And then boys volleyball, which isn't sanctioned in North Carolina yet, but there is a North Carolina boys volleyball league. Of course, you guys know Jordan Matthews was in it last year, and this year we had Jordan Matthews and Seaforth also participating. And they actually played each other in the first round of the playoffs last night at Seaforth. Seaforth won that one in straight sets, 3-0. And the Hawks will play at Lexington in the second round. So, that's just a quick rundown of all the playoffs and postseason stuff going on in spring sports. This is the busiest time of the year, as you guys can tell. So we're lock and loaded, trying to see where we're going to be, following all these athletes, and see who's going to take home some state championships this year.
All right. Hey, tell folks what you got coming out in the paper today.
Yeah, so coming out in the paper today, a lot of recaps from our stuff last week. We have two stories from the Mid-Carolina 1A, 2A conference baseball and softball tournaments. And then we have Chatham Charters baseball and softball conference tournament recaps as well in the Central Tar Heel 1A conference. Of course, we have a roundup with a rundown of all of our Mid-Carolina 1A, 2A, and Central Tar Heel 1A track and field champions from their championship meets last week. And you can read more about who won, the teams that won, and, of course, the times they won with. And then we have our Chatham County Girls Soccer playoff preview, get a quick rundown of where teams are at and what they're looking at as far as playoff seeding before the official seeding comes out tomorrow. And then we also have a story from Seaforth and Union Pines boys lacrosse. Seaforth won that one behind great performance from Ivan Grimes. It was back and forth until the end when Ivan and Oscar Ditter as well put in some clutch goals to pull away and get the win for the Hawks over the non-conference opponent. Yeah, opponent they could see in the playoffs as well. So pretty interesting matchup to see them go head-to-head. And so, that's what we have in the paper this week. And now, Gene, are you ready to get into the athlete of the week?
Hold on. Let me get that caption ready, all set to go. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So athlete of the week this week is Lily Hicks from the Jordan Matthews softball team. She had a ridiculous performance against Northwood in the first round of the Mid Carolina 1A 2A conference tournament. She pitched a perfect game, 0 hits, 0 runs, no batters, of course, that reached first in that one, and struck out 10 batters across 7 innings in that one. So total shutdown from Lily Hicks on the mound. And then just a recap of kind of her season as well, because of course the Jets did get knocked out in the first round, like we said earlier. That was her second no-hitter of the year. She had did it earlier against Bartley Yancey on April 17th, where she had struck out 10 batters in 5 innings without giving up a hit, of course. And in that one, too, she had, I think it was 2 errors from the defense that prevented her from getting a perfect game. So she nearly had 2 perfect games this year, but she got one here near the end of the season. So hats off to her. Great year for Hicks and Jordan Matthews, a young team that we saw last year, with Logan Gunter. Those girls, they were just right there with Central as the powers in the county and in the conference. This year they had another good season, not the same as last year, but they're young and they're going to bring a lot of those girls back. They got that experience and probably a really good team next season.
All right. So, Lily, congratulations. Happy that you are Ashibo's Athlete of the Week. There's only, 52 of you a year, so you get to do that. Also, want to let folks know we're nearing the end of the high school sports season. What happens at the end is we wrap things up and go on summer break until August when we get into some of the preseason stuff going on. Ashibo, you want to we know you're going to be at the Chatham Central softball game tomorrow. Is that correct?
Actually, I think I'm going to go check out Chatham Charter baseball.
Okay.
Like I said, I haven't seen them all year. Really want to get down there and see if they can get to the third round. I think, going back and looking at Chatham Charter's playoff history, the third round is kind of where they've kind of, been halted in the playoffs. So definitely want to see if they can get back there and, of course, see if they can get over the hump this year.
All right. And I'm not sure where I'm going to be yet, so I can't say. Not because it's a secret. It's just I don't know. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think we could mention tonight, of course, Tobert Matthews from C4 Football, the new hire as the head coach, will be at the school, introducing himself to the community, taking some questions, and we'll get a chance to talk to him as well. So we'll probably have a story out on him, just giving the rundown of who he is, what he's about, and his plans for coming in and taking C4 football to that next level.
Yeah, and we appreciate Jared arranging that. It's going to be a meet and greet. Ashibo and I will be there, and he's going to give you a rundown in next week's paper, and we'll talk about it on next week's live stream. So, folks, take it easy till next week. Come back next Thursday because, again, we got a lot of results coming from the playoffs, baseball, softball, as well as we should have at least one soccer playoff game next week before next Thursday. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.